In today's video, I'm going to take you through my process for creating a greeting card. I love to design greeting cards. I've designed many in my career. Here are a few examples of some cards I've designed. What I love about greeting cards is they can be one-off. Now, I love a collection. You've seen my videos. But I do love having one concept and just making it really shine. I love the mix of lettering and holidays. And so today I'm going to take you through my process from thinking of a concept to drawing it out in Illustrator. And I'm going to do this video in two parts because that's how I designed the card. And you'll see where I land at the end of this video and then how I take it to the next level in my next video. The first thing I do when I'm thinking about greeting cards is do some brainstorming and some sketching on my iPad. I like to do this on my couch, away from my desk, away from my day-to-day office, and try to generate some new ideas. First, I make a list of potential themes or topics or phrases or sentiments. Then I do some rough thumbnails of some of those ideas of my favorites. And then I take my favorite from those concepts and bring them into a larger format in order to do a more detailed sketch. So for this sketch, I started with some really basic lettering as a guideline, and then I decided that the lettering needed a little bit more energy, and so to make it more fun, I played around with some different concepts, and then finally brought this really rough sketch into Adobe Illustrator. My next step was, before I even started drawing this out in Illustrator, was to head to Pinterest to get some inspiration for a palette. I wanted to start with some colors. Even though these colors might change in the end, I always like to try to pick a palette before I even start so that as I'm designing, I have a good base of something that looks decent already. I don't like to start with just any wild colors that I pick because that's going to make me not like looking at the design. So I want to start with something that already looks kind of cohesive and go from there. And so I grab some inspiration from Pinterest, knowing that I'm going to adjust things, knowing that I'm going to change things, and also understanding that even if I don't, there's no copywriting color palette, so it's okay to just grab something from Pinterest and move along with your design. So I do a little bit of a mix and match using some palettes that I pulled from Pinterest, kind of put them together in a way that I think is going to work for me, needing some darks and some lights. To add these colors to my palette to make it really easy to grab as I'm drawing, I select them and go to my swatches, options, and select add used colors. Next, I want to grab some brushes that I used in a recent design. These are some new brushes that I have that I kind of like the effect of and I might want to be using here. So while my favorite brushes are saved as full libraries that I load in, these newer brushes I'm just grabbing from a recent file and placing in so that I have them available. Next, I want to quickly test out my color palette by roughing in where I think each color will go. And once I do that, I can take away the sketch and see if I like how it roughly balances. And I'm seeing that the frosting color and the text color don't quite work. So I use my recolor tool and switch those two options. Now that I'm satisfied with that, I move it off to the side as inspiration, and I get down to actually creating the vectors for this design. Now, I do have this drawn out in black, and if you've seen my video about taking my artwork from Procreate to Illustrator, you know that sometimes I live trace some of that black artwork into Illustrator to keep the quality of my sketch. However, in this case, I actually want something a little bit cleaner. I got the idea of where I want the letters and how I basically want them to work, but I'm gonna start out by making this a really thick stroke so that I can adjust how smooth all the curves are, and then I can make it a little bit more imperfect from there. As I'm filling this in, I'm realizing that yellow isn't the best color to be working off of white, so I switch this over to blue for now in order to see it better as I draw. As I start to fine tune the curves and everything like that, you'll see that I also take the time to change the stroke corner. I don't like this L and E having this cutoff corner, and you can adjust that in your stroke properties panel. So I'm changing that corner to make sure it works, and I'm making small adjustments, and you'll see lots of zooming in and out so I can get a sense of balance and see if these letters have a fun bounce that I'm looking for. Once I'm satisfied with the approximate position and curves of each letter, then I expand the outline, and then I start making adjustments to make it a little bit more wonky. I make it a little bit thicker at the bottom of each letter and make some small adjustments to make it more interesting. Once I'm happy with the lettering, it's time to start filling in the toaster oven. And as I start drawing, I decided to look at a reference to make sure that I'm not making it too generic. I have a basic idea of what a toaster looks like, but I want to get some inspiration online. And as I draw these Pop-Tarts, I start to play around with the brushes a little bit for some shading and start to think about what I might add on top of the frosting. There's drizzles, there's sprinkles, there's little circle sprinkles, and so I decide to start with that to give it kind of a fun confetti feel. At this point, I'm pretty much done. I'm filling in the pop, and now I've got the basics of what my original sketch was. I've got the basic shapes, I've got the basic colors and the lettering, but this is a very plain card. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is pretty plain and very flat. And so I'm going to need to take it to the next level. I'm going to take a break at this point and get away from my, original sketch and give it some time to start to think about what my next steps might be to make this a more interesting, dynamic card illustration. So there we go. We've done the basics in Illustrator, and it's okay, but I know that I can do better. I know that it can be more interesting. So in my next video, stay tuned. I will be showing off how to bring it to the next level and make it way more engaging. And I'm going to come up with a card that I'm really excited about. Ready to level up your surface pattern design game? Dive into the ultimate resource hub for aspiring designers, the Surface Pattern Boss Toolkit. Unlock a treasure trove of freebies, including sales sheet templates, exclusive industry expert videos, and mini courses to grow your creative business. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description below to access your toolkit now and become a pattern design pro.